Hey guys, I'm super excited to introduce my friend Nicholas Bayerle, who is going to be speaking at HeFluence Society Live. It's really cool because Nicholas has been an instrumental part in my wife and I's entrepreneurial journey. When we launched online, Nicholas was the first person that really gave us direction and gave us his wisdom. And at 26, there's not many guys like him that have the business that he has. He's soon to be a father. He is the CEO of Billion Dollar Body, Billion Dollar Brotherhood, which I like to call it. And he's just an all-around great guy. He's a man of God. As I said, he's getting ready to be a father pretty soon, which is kind of exciting to see him be a father, because I think he's going to be an amazing father. And so, and he's also, like I said, he's going to be speaking at HeFluence Society Live November 1st through the 3rd in Tampa, Florida. And so, Nicholas, welcome, brother. I'm excited for my community and people to get to know you better. And so thanks for being with me today, man.
First off, Mike, thanks for creating the group and creating the space for this, creating the event. And you said something in there that I want everyone to think about for a second. You said you're going to be a great father, Nicholas. And I actually made a post about this the other day because I am going to be a great father. But I'm not going to be a great father because of some type of skill set that I have or because I was raised perfectly. But I'm going to be a great father because of the investments in the education and the people and the examples that I have to learn from. And that's like a totally different space to be in, is the fact that everything I've done in business, everything I've done in health, and everything that I'm doing right now to be the best father I can be is me hiring a midwife for $5,000, me hiring 2 doulas, me hiring birthing coaches, and doing everything that we can before and during actually raising a kid. And that is why I'm going to be successful. I think people think that people are just successful on their own, and it just does not happen. There's examples, whether it's from the Bible or whether it's through people that have done things before that are using biblical principles. They are able to be used by you in the same way. That's why Michael's holding an event. If you want to go slow, if you want to go fast, you can go alone. In health, in wealth, in relationships, in community. If you want to just go do it on your own, you'll go super fast. The problem is most of those people burn out and they're here today, gone tomorrow. But if you want to go far, you go in a group. And the best way to get education plus the connections that you want is going to be at a live event, which is exactly why Michael's even putting it on. Is because if you want to go hire me and everyone else to go teach you something, it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Or you can invest in a ticket, and while you're there, build your network and get all the other cool things that he's giving you as well.
Yeah, and one of the things that I learned from that first conversation was, Nicholas, that I invested in going to his live event, which he just put on, I believe, his 3rd live event this year. And he also became an author, which is freaking awesome. He motivated me to start writing my book, which I started about 3 weeks ago, which I've really been getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and doing. But real briefly, just tell people your story, like where you came from. Like it's super exciting to watch and to listen. Like I tell Nicholas all the time, like I tell my wife this, like I could listen to his story all the time because I saw him speak in front of 4,000 people where he said he turned his mess into his message. And to me, I'm turning my mess into my message. And so tell us a little bit about your story and who you are, like where you came from and how this all came about, the Billion Dollar Body.
Yeah. First off, I'm so grateful that mess can be turned into message. I used to think when I first got in the health industry, started taking care of myself, nobody would want to buy from me because of my messed up past my health. I was 60 pounds overweight. And so I thought, man, my body's my billboard. That's what you get taught as like a personal trainer or a health professional, that your body's your billboard. And the only reason why people are going to buy from you is because you're shredded. And if you're not shredded, then no one wants to buy from you. It's actually totally not true because people want to relate to you. So if you have a mess and you're coming to HeFluence, you go, man, all these people are so amazing. They don't have it. I have issues in my health, issues in my business, issues in my relationship. I can't go. No, you have the biggest story that's going to be the best catapult for your business. Because for me, growing up, my parents split up when I was 4. So already they never got married. They split up. And so right off the bat, I had no clue what a regular household looked like. My mom took full-time jobs. And so from 0 to 2, I was in daycare. 2 to 4, I was in preschool. After 4, I got dropped off at school every single day at 6:30 a.m. and I would stay till 5:30 p.m. So I stayed at school 11 hours every single day, hated and despised it. And when I was at my mom's house, my mom hated my dad. When I was at my dad's house, my dad hated my mom. So I had no clue, like, I can't love my mom when I'm with my dad. Like, this is so awkward. Not to mention that my stepmom moved in 2 weeks after my mom moved out. So I was so confused about everything, to the point when I was 7 years old, I wrote my first suicide letter. I just felt like I was caught between a rock and a hard place. I felt like, man, why am I even here? This sucks. Like, I'm just in this messed up situation and I'm always getting in trouble and I don't know what to do. And that really built a bunch of anxiety in me. It built a bunch of pressure in my life where I didn't know mentally what was going on. And most of us don't. Mentally, the problems that we think we have in our life are not the problems. The problems are the things that are subconsciously happening that we do not see. So in 3rd grade, I had diarrhea every single day. Couldn't even go to school. That's how mass my anxiety was. At 13 years old, I finally broke and said, my dad's too hardcore. I'm not going to talk to him anymore. I'm going to go live with my mom, not talking to my dad. I ended up playing video games and becoming addicted, playing 8 to 16 hours every single day and gaining 60 pounds over the course of 3 years. Got 60 pounds overweight, was super insecure, to the point where I actually had a friend commit suicide when I was in my senior year of high school. And I saw her every day, but I never had the opportunity to even care to ask what was going on in her life because I was so conscious of myself and so self-conscious. And throughout that process, 18 years old, that is when I had an encounter with God, went to church for the first time, never had been to church before that. And then after that, that's when I was like, I'm switching my life. At that point, I had lost 60 pounds, got a 6-pack, but still had no purpose. I found the purpose in the church, went to ministry school. That's actually Bethel School of Ministry, that I'm actually speaking at their Heaven and Business Conference here right before HeFluence, I think it is, right before it. And then at that place where I met my wife, got married, fit, completely broke, and realized I have a new responsibility and now I'll take care of a family. And that was when I found like my real purpose. And actually the number one cause of shame in men right now in America or the world is not being able to provide for their family. So I found that really freaking quick. It's like really quick I found that, but I failed in business for years. And it's because at first I invested to try to go further faster. It worked for me for a time, but then I failed. And so I thought, okay, next time I'm going to try not to invest. And I'm going to try to do it all on my own. And that's when I really, really failed. And it wasn't until I went back and reinvested in myself, took the things I had learned, reinvested, got the right mentors, got the right teaching, got around the right people, that my business started to blow up. And that's where from 2016, January till now, we've never had a not profitable month running. Now what is a 7-figure business. It took 2.5 years to be able to get there. And now to go full circle to be able to go speak at these huge events, 4,000 people like you're talking about, when really for 2.5 years, I was a broke carpet cleaner making $1,200 to $1,600 a month. So all I know is the path that worked for me. I don't know what will work for you, but I would say that probably going to an event, learning from people like Tim Story, learning from people like Michael, Eric Thomas, people that you don't get to be around on a normal basis, that's going to attract a good type of person. And inside of those relationships, that's where miracles and breakthroughs happen. I always look at live events. They're the number one things that got me into business. They're the number one things that got me success in business at the beginning. And when I reinvested in myself, a live event is what I went to first that really catapulted my success. And still personally, I invest quarterly in educational events where I'm personally learning and connecting with people. I'm not speaking. I'm not going there and trying to have a booth and make money. I'm trying to absorb and make connections and get refreshed myself, which is what this event will do for you.
Nicholas, tell me about that, because one of the things I think that really attracted to me you in the beginning was I kind of had the same experience. Like, I think your wife went to an event very beginning and called you on the phone and said, tell us about that, because that really encourages me, because I kind of did that at your event, and it catapulted me into making $10,000 when I came back home. That paid for my investment, paid for some of the things, and then created us into making multiple 6 figures last year. And so tell me about that. Tell me about what.
Yeah. So I remember I failed in business after a year. And after that year in business and failing, I decided that I had to go out there and just be the man that was going to provide. I just had to do something. So I ended up going out there and carpet cleaning with my dad, again, making $1,200 to $1,600 a month full time. My dad actually got into a bad motorcycle accident. So I actually had to just stay in that. And I felt like, this is my time to serve my dad, give back to my dad for everything he's done for me. And during that time, my wife was a receptionist at a massage department at a health institute, making about $900 a month. So combined income was not good for San Diego. While I had her intern underneath a health professional for 9 months, a health coach that was making money online, generating leads and selling high ticket things. And she was a business coach as well. So throughout the process, like, we were just getting educated, but I was licking my wounds to the point where if you're listening and you're thinking, man, I'm not good enough to be here or I can't afford it, I would not even go to networking events because I was so embarrassed about the fact that I was a carpet cleaner all day. I couldn't even afford a haircut. And on top of that, I was so broke that if I showed up to a free networking event and I had to pay for parking, I would leave. Or I would drop my wife off and I'd be like, hey, honey, I'll just stay here. Go make some connections. Because both of those things were working against each other. I didn't think I was valuable. I wasn't lovable. I wasn't trustable. I wasn't trustworthy. And then also, I didn't have any money. And that was shaping my life. And it wasn't until my dad had gotten into his accident. I remember I couldn't go to this live event, but my wife went without me, brought her mom instead. And at this event, I hardly heard from her the whole week. And I was so frustrated. I was like, where is she? Like, what's going on? I didn't know she was connecting with all these amazing people. So think about this. The people that were attending this event, there's people like John Lee Dumas and Lewis Howes and all these people that are huge names. And my wife's out there attending the same event and meeting not just the speakers, but the people in the audience. She was making great connections. And at this event, they ended up selling something, which is one of the best things that events can do. Now my wife's at a point where she's like, this event didn't sell anything. Like, I wanted to buy something. I want to be a part of something. So she was at this event. They came up with one live event with 6 months of calls for $5,000. And my wife's like, we need to do this. And I would have been like, what? One event? We're at an event. Like, we paid like a couple $100 for this thing. What's the difference? Well, I remember getting a call from my wife because she sat down with someone who was a salesperson. And they were like, you can't buy this. You're too broke, too young. You need to call your husband. You need to figure it out. But you can't buy this thing. And so my wife calls me and goes, hey, honey, there's this thing and it's really awesome and it's going to be amazing and it's exactly what we need and it's $5,000. And I remember at the time, like, we had been broke since we had gotten married. We had tried really, really hard, but we had built massive trust with each other. And I would not change that for anything. And I was like, she would never do anything to harm us. Cool. Let's free up some space on the credit card. We'll charge it on the credit card. I didn't know that this was actually a pretty good thing to do and to leverage debt and all these things at the time. I just thought that's the only way I can do it. And keep in mind, I was buying my groceries on credit cards as well. So I was flat broke. Invested the $5,000. I really flopped for the first 6 months in the program. Didn't really make any progress. People were telling me to refund, that I should quit, blah, blah, blah. And I always ask people if they think that was a good investment. And everyone says, yes, look at you now, Nicholas. And really, it wasn't a good investment in everyone else's eyes. Everyone else, like, it was scary. Maybe it's scary to go to HeFluence, or maybe you're scared because you don't feel like you're in the right place and you feel like, it's going to expose you and everyone's going to think you're a loser. Like, that's what I thought. Doesn't matter. We made the investment. I ended up not refunding, going to that event and leaving that event from the connections, the people that believed in me and the education. For the first time in 3 years in business, I did I'd never broken $3,000 in sales. Imagine my face when I did over $22,000 in sales. I ended up quitting carpet cleaning, going full-time in the business. Was that easy? Absolutely not. I was afraid, because what if I had to go back? What if it was a fluke? What if it was like I got lucky? I'd have to go crawling back to my dad for money. But since that time, which is what I told you before, we've never had a not profitable month. Actually, already today, we've done well over $10,000 just today. And it's 3:42 p.m. on a Thursday, and I only went in the office today to write a note to someone to say thanks for whatever you do. And I'm about to go to the gym after this. And so that's a much different thing than making $19,000 a year inside of a business. But it all started with my wife going to an event, making an investment in ourselves, and continuing to put in the work every single day. Most of the time, just so people know, I spend at least 7-8 hours in my office on a 5-day-a-week basis. For years, though, I spent more time than that. But that's because I didn't have skill sets. I didn't have the right mentors. And so I don't want to act like I don't work, but I want to show you the difference between working full-time as a carpet cleaner that was unhealthy to being able to now have freedom to bring a child into this world. And there's nothing like it. If I didn't go to an event, it wouldn't have been possible.
Well, think about it like this. This thought just crossed my mind because It's funny how we had such trouble getting this to go live, right? And I knew that this message needed to be told to people, right? And so I also see you then a couple years later write a check for 10 times that amount that you initially wrote to go to another event, to join another mastermind, to join another group. Tell me the importance of how that's happened and what's led to that now, and how you do that on a regular basis, investing in masterminds and other things that you do.
Yeah, so I started looking at it. Well, one of our mutual mentors, Cole Howder, says if it makes you money, it costs you nothing. And I started realizing that the investment in myself and my own business were the quickest way to make more money. A lot of people make investments in mutual funds, stocks, real estate, and those are all phenomenal investments. Though nothing will supersede the investment in between the 2 years, and then the investment in the actual thing that you're working on right now, that business. So once I went out and made 22 grand in that first month, and that year I ended up only making, I think, $100,000 in the business, but I had made $19,000 the years leading up to that. So just imagine that. And the only reason I made 100 grand that first year is because I did that event halfway through the year. So in the last 6 months of the year, I made up the 80 grand difference compared to what I had made the year before. And I thought, well, if the connections, the education was making me money while I was actually making great contacts and I was learning, I'm like, oh my gosh, who wouldn't go to college if you bought a $40,000 scholarship to college, or like a entry into college for 40 grand, and you left with 120 grand? I would go to college every single year for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
but
too.
most people go to college, they expect that one day they can use their education and that it'll make them money. When they leave, they make 60 grand, maybe 80 grand a year for a lot of years,
Or
and
40.
that's profit. They
Yeah.
end up just living above their means. And so that means that it takes them sometimes 40 years to pay off freaking debt. Realize that it took me 2 years to pay off all the debt inside of my business. And that was like a really freeing feeling. So ever since then, I've just realized that if I want to continue growing, I want to be around more people that are growing rapidly as well, which has caused me in the last 14 months to invest over $60,000 just in one group. Just in one group, not including travel, not including one-off coaches or anything like that. Just in one person. I told you that my midwife was $5,000 to have her coach us through the sessions, and we have a doula and we have a birthing coach that comes to my house. I've realized that if it makes me money, it costs me nothing. And so when it came to the investment in my business, and in myself, I realized that whenever I was trying to hold back from investing in myself and in my business, I was already in a losing mentality and state. That was already in a state of submission and failure. And I realized, oh my goodness, no matter what, if I want to be a business owner, if I want to go out there and be successful in this area, it's going to take having a coach, because every single person out there does it. It's going to take good community. So education, good people, masterminds are just a great way to be able to get that. Coaches are a great way to be able to get that as well. Mentors, teachers, courses, education, and again, live events are a great way. If you don't have 50 grand to invest right now in a high level mastermind, well, go to a live event for a few $100s and see the effect. Showing up, getting education. I didn't ever mention the first event I ever went to. Think about this. It was a network marketing event. It was the first event I had ever been to. Luckily for me, I had great people around me that when I signed up in my first network marketing company at 20 years old, which I'm not in network marketing right now, my company personally right now is in network marketing, but my first one was, and I remember signing up $500 and they were like, Nicholas, you got to go to the live event. It's like in a different state. It's the national event. You need to be there. And I was like, dude, I just got started. Shouldn't I be successful before I go there? Like, I need to make some money. And they're like, no, Nicholas, like you get educated, then you make money. You don't make money, then get educated. And they actually pushed me to go out to that event. At that event, there was a guy named Jason O'Toole. I still remember, never talked to him since. And he goes, if you do this, Nicholas, follow this, you'll do $12,500 in volume in sales. That wasn't my collection, but that was my total sales. And this was my first month in the company. So I just joined, 20 years old. My wife's 18, never done anything before. And I go to this event. He goes, do this. You'll do $12,500 in sales and you'll get your free car. And I was like, BMW sounds pretty good. Sounds great. So I did it. At the end of the 30 days, I did exactly what he said. I did $12,546 in sales. And I went and picked up my BMW that I had till last year, right off the lot at 20 years old. And I was like, this is pretty cool. I was able to give my mom my old vehicle. They were able to sell it to pay for her hospital bills, all because I went to an event, got educated, and took action.
Wow. Wow.
And that was just from an event. That wasn't a mastermind. That wasn't coaching. But I realized that if I continued to educate myself, build my skill sets, build my knowledge base, build my connections, that'd be the number one thing that would help me succeed. Last thing is that I just interviewed a guy named Onyx Singhal. He's been in the internet marketing space for a very long time.
Yeah.
I didn't know a ton about him, but he said something that really intrigued me because I noticed that he was in internet marketing since 2002. I was in high school in 2008. So I was not like, I didn't know what a recession looked like. I don't know what it's like to go through a recession besides what my family went through. My personal business didn't go through one. So I was interested, what was that like for his industry? He said in 2010, almost everyone that was making money fell off the face of the planet. He said many people were making a lot more money than he was, but he had been investing in his relationships, and the people that you see right now that are doing the best online in sales right now were all people that also were investing in their relationships and their connections, because once the recession for internet marketing hit in 2010, everyone who was making money fell off the face of the planet, while the people that had connections, they all came together and collaborated and survived by helping each other out. And those are the big players that you see today. And the people that made lots of money, they're gone now. And they're probably out there. They probably wouldn't got a sales job. Like I know many people in 2008 had $10 million companies that now have sales jobs as an employee to this day because they couldn't handle the hit again.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because I was sharing, with several mutual friends, actually people that I met at your event, like my friend George Bryant, whose hashtag trademark is relationships beat algorithms, right? And he massively influenced me a couple weeks ago. And so let's finish with this. So I'm gonna ask you this last question. So from a standpoint of a young guy, 26 years old, super successful, now created 6 figures and then now 7 figures, what can a guy expect if maybe he's 20 or he's 40 or he's 60 and he's going to come to the live event? What can he expect to learn from somebody like you? Because before you answer this, I'm going to kind of tell my part of it, because I think you can, and I kind of tricked Nicholas into this a long time back. I asked him if I thought that I could learn from a 26-year-old, or if I could learn from a 17-year-old or whatever. And he didn't know I was tricking him into it. I just wanted to see how he responded. But he's so smart and full of wisdom and grace that he was able to answer it and actually make an impact in a 51-year-old's life, right? Because not only was he humble enough to learn from things that he'd went through, but he surrounded himself around the right people that, like Russell, who said on a live with Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins, brings up Nicholas's name. Out of all the people in the world that Russell has created, a $300-400 million company because of those relationships and the words that came out of his mouth. So tell me what guys can come to an intimate, small live event where you're going to be bringing information that can radically change their life. So tell me what that might look like for somebody.
So I have tons of things that I cannot wait to be able to share that's actionable, that's going to be implementable right then and implementable by you right when you leave the event. And also I want people to know that I'm going to be at the event. So I think the most valuable thing is going to be that most events have speakers that just come in and then fly out. Whereas at HeFluence Live, like we're going to be there. And so that when we're off stage, when it comes to how we navigate stuff inside of our own life or contextual questions, those are able to be had, which is actually something that's extremely valuable. If someone wants to fly out to my office now and take a day of my time, a day of my team, they'll have to invest $10,000 to be able to do so. Not just because that's what the business does, but it's also because it takes so much energy from the people, team and me, and like I have to disrupt my schedule. but I'm going to be at HeFluence Live, and we're going to be just chatting and hanging out and like having conversation, having breakthroughs when it comes to the contextual areas of your life right now that need to have that sticky point, that you need that extra breakthrough. And I promise you that even inside of an intimate setting, we talked about, I spoke at Funnel Hacking Live. It was 4,000, 4,500 people, something like that. At the ticket gate, there's 5K total. And there I shared how I was able to take the mess that I had and take it and turn it into my message, which I'm sure that'd be a big, I love talking about that. It'd be a big talk. So if you have a mess, if you want to be able to make a profitable business, that's something amazing. But realize that there was 5,000 people and it would take me about 4 hours to even get to my hotel room after. It was very difficult to interact with a lot of the speakers. Now imagine being at Michael's event where you had just over 100, 150 people there in the room, and you're able to be able to have those conversations with the speakers, to be able to have the mindset shifts, to be able to get the sticky points and contextual information that you need right now inside of your business and that, or inside of your life. Both sides, because your business will only grow as much as you grow. I think that's going to be the most important thing. But I can't wait to share with everyone exactly how I was able to, first off, take a list of 61 people. 61 people is all I had in my first list of people, my influence. I always say the influence, number one thing that you can have as a man, influence over your family, influence over yourself. I took 61 people and did $180,000 in sales in 18 months with just 61 people. I'm going to share with you that you don't have to be some famous person. I want to share with you how you can monetize your story, taking the things that you do right now and actually taking your mess, making it a profitable message out there in the world. How you can create an offer even that is congruent with who you are, and being able to have it be so irresistible that people out there have no other conclusion in their life but to hand you their money. You don't have to be some great guru salesperson. And how I've been able to build influence where, we're going tomorrow, we're supposed to be going to LA to go interview the Wolf of Wall Street, that Jordan Belfort guy. And I'm going to ask him a bunch of random questions. I was just with Grant Cardone. I'm going to be with the guy at Charlie. I'm on a winning streak on Saturday in LA. And so we're going to be hanging out. We're going to be having conversation, and to show you how to be able to connect with those people that'll save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in mentorships. I've been able to connect with people like Jay Abraham, who's one of the top marketers in the world, all through just building relationships. So if all it did, going to HeFluence, and I get nothing if you sign up. So, it's not like I'm here because I'm going to make some commission off of you if you sign up, or, Michael's not sneaking me a 20 underneath the table right now to say nice things about him. Ultimately, when you come to the event, I want to ask you, if you just made connections with like-minded men that are like you, that keep you accountable and on the right track over the next 20 years, would it be worth the investment? If you just went there and got actionable items that you can implement in your business right now based on where you're at, that actually cause an increase of even, let's say, 10% of your current income over the next 10 years, what's 10% of your income? Even if you just went up 10%. 10% is not a lot. 10% over the next 10 years, you make 80K a year, that's $8,000. That's over the next 10 years, that's 80 grand. If you just made 80 grand from coming to this event, would it be worth it? If it just right now gave you that feeling of inspiration and motivation to get your life back in order so that you're at a basis point of feeling healthy and empowered, would it be worth it? If you just got to connect with the speakers, would it be worth it? And the answer is yes to any of those things. Then I would ask, what's keeping you from taking action? And maybe reach out. And the first step of vulnerability for you is to reach out to Michael and say, hey, I haven't bought a ticket, but here's why. Something's holding me back. I interviewed a guy today. Actually, one guy joined one of our programs today. He said, Nicholas, my first event I went to was $200 and I was freaking out. I can't believe I'm going to spend $200 on an event. And today he invested in a way higher ticket program than $200. And he was like, that's just how his mindset has shifted. But it's okay if you're at the point where you're like, $200 is a lot. I haven't done this before. Great. Let this be a great place to make a good investment. If you're already making investments, then I would say, hey, then go take a look at this one, because if you're already investing in events, then you'll see that this one is going to give you more bang for your buck than a lot of the other events out there.
Well, I'm going to finish with this. I always feel like God has taught me to edify people that have made a massive impact in my life. And so, when I read Nicholas's book in about 2 days, I realized that he poured his heart into that book so that he could influence the lives of other people. I think how I invested, I think it was like $700 in Nicholas's first event. He actually wore an Ohio State shirt to the interview, which he knew I was from Ohio. And I don't even think he's ever worn that shirt again. I think he told me one time, but
We don't even know where it's at. It had a hole in it or something.
Yeah. And the funny thing is then Nicholas encouraged me to invest in another mastermind. And then I invested in Nicholas's mastermind for 2 years. And one of the coolest things about that is that Nicholas has helped guys who knew they were supposed to have a business and never had one, but now they have one. Now they're thriving. Like, I think about this as sitting on my desk, and I think that this would have never happened if it wasn't for Nicholas. We won an event in our last mastermind, the Monumental Business Achievement Award at Thrive Connect, which is both, as he said, both of our mentors, Cole Hatter, who spoke at Nicholas's event. And I'm grateful for a decision that I made to invest in myself. But really, that investment came back from the relationships that when you see our speaker lineup, that would not be possible without the guy that I'm interviewing today. And there's servant leaders, and then there's servant leaders. And Nicholas and his wife Amanda are incredible servant leaders. So I would tell you 2 things: get his book, right, which is now all around the world. Like, it's in
Asia. We just had a guy, we're getting people picking up from Barnes and Noble and reaching out to us. It's crazy. Obviously Amazon, we sold tons of copies, but yeah, we just got into Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, I think. And yeah, we've been getting pictures from there as well, which is crazy.
Thank God, because that's the guy I'm going to use to write my book with. But so guys, take some action. Get a ticket. You can go to HeFluenceSocietyLive.com, get a ticket. I'll put the link in the interview. But guys, this is a man too that you should get to know and encourage. You can go to the $1 Billion Brotherhood on Facebook and join his Facebook group and connect with people there. And Nicholas, thank you so much, man, for several things. Just being a man of integrity, being my friend, and I'm super excited just to be in the crowd too, to hear you speak and teach, because every time I've heard you speak and teach, I've always taken something away that I've been able to implement, and it's made me be successful. So thank you so much, brother. I love you and I appreciate you so much.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And I can't wait to see everyone at the event.
Awesome.